All right, so much here the program this morning on ITV on independent television. Now, Sylvester Romoni, I always mix that name now. Sylvester Romoni was a student of Dowen College in Lekki in Lagos before he was beaten up, and he eventually died as a result of the injuries that he sustained from him being beaten up. Now, it is probably not the first time that we're having this kind of scenario, talking about students bullying other students in school now. And it's one thing that I think we should take a stop and think about it. Now, I have to bring this topic on today because I do know that a good number of our pupils already at home for the Christmas holiday. So it's perhaps a very wonderful time for them to watch this kind of program so that they will know and they should know that to bully other students is very, very wrong. Now, you would have read the whole story talking about Sylvester Romoni Jr. And as we speak now, investigations are ongoing. As a matter of fact, the Lagos State Police Command has been mandated by the Lagos State government. And we understand that only yesterday, members of the House of Representatives in Abuja had to take a swipe on the Inspector General of Police and ordered him to make sure that he does a thorough investigation into that issue. As we speak now, the body of Sylvester Romoni is in Delta State, and we understand that the Delta State Police Command is also going to be working pari passu with the Lagos State Police Command so that an autopsy can be carried out. As we speak, about 5 students have been fingered, and it said that the 5 students are responsible for the beating up of Sylvester Romoni, out of which 3 are helping the Lagos State government to give them information so that they can find more information as it relates to what actually happened. Why 2 at large? And of course, we understand that about 3 housemasters at Dowen College are also under the custody of the Lagos State Police Command. So what we're going to be doing here today, we're going to be looking at education one more time, and also see the boarding house school system in Nigeria. Well, in my secondary school days, I did not go to boarding house. I attended the day school, but one thing that I remember is that some of my mates that attended the boarding house, we always admired the way they spoke, and of course the excellent behavior that they put up anytime all of us had to converge together during holidays. Now, those were the kind of things that you saw, the kind of exceptions that you saw for students in body house in the good old times. So the big question is, what has really changed? How come we don't have this situation anymore? How come what we hear is students beat up other students? Typical example was what happened recently in Edo College here in Edo State. Now, to look at all this morning, we are so privileged to have Dr. Mrs. Stella Omonigo, who is a mother, a parent in the first instance, and of course she's an educationist, a lecturer with the University of Benin, Department of Foreign Languages. Madam, you're welcome to this program this morning on ITV.
Thank you so much, Mr. Evans. Good morning, viewers at home.
And also we have a big brother friend, Mr. Paul Okungbawa, who is also a parent and a renowned educationist. As a matter of fact, one of the coordinators of Test House Tutorials, Gorilla Brain, and one of the proprietors of Cavalry Crown Academy here in Edo State. Mr. Okungbawa, you're welcome to this program this morning on ITV. Now, Dr. Stella Omonigo, I don't know whether you attended the body house system, but one thing that stands clear is that body house school system in Nigeria is not what it used to be. So what do you think is going on? Can we get your thoughts on this?
Thank you so much. Incidentally, I attended a boarding school, and my children are in the boarding house, or one of them is still in the boarding house. Let it be stated, I want us to note that bullying had always been existing, at least in boarding houses, especially in Nigeria, and of course outside the country as well. We've seen cases, we have been hearing of cases of bullying and everything. But the only thing I have just noticed that it has never been this bad. It has never been this bad. And of course, when I was, going through the trend of things, starting from last year, because it's the one of Sylvester Romoni that really brought out a lot of things about bullying. But if you remember last year, June, there was a child that we lost in Premier Academy Abuja, Karen Apara, of a single parent, a child of a single parent, whom they alleged was raped in school and sent back home and with infection, and unfortunately after about 2 days at home the girl died. Of course, the mother is not rich, and the mother tried to speak out, but nobody is speaking for her, and the matter has been swept under the carpet. And then we also had the one of Don Davis of Deeper Life School last year, when you saw the mother shouting, Deborah Kennezier, shouting and saying that she wanted justice. And we thank God that people came to our rescue and justice is being given her. Having said that, the one of Sylvester Oromoni, honestly, before I continue, I would like to condole with the family and with all those who have lost their children or their loved ones through this bullying. You know, the problem is this: people don't speak out. And that is why you see that the thing has now become the thing of the day. Because when you bully a child, and the bully is not punished, the bully now feels that, of course, it's a thing of the day, and he has a total power over the child, and it continues like that. Other people who were not bullies before will now start taking examples from the bully that was not punished, that escaped punishment, that was not sanctioned. And I try to look at the causes of this bullying now in our system. It is actually a result of a failed system. That is what we are now seeing in school. And when I say a failed system, I would like to talk about parenting. Look, let me tell you, there's so much decadence in the society that even parents are now failing in their duties to bring up their children properly. These bullies are who? They are people's children. And then let me tell you, a bully does not just come up a day to become a full bully. This thing comes up gradually. So parents were supposed to observe their children at home, the way they talk, the way they react, the way they manage their anger, to be able to know that this child is a bully or this child has tendency of bullying others. I want to talk about bullying. That means forcing somebody, intimidating somebody that you feel that you are bigger than or you are greater than. If forcing them against their will to do what they're not supposed to do, and at the end, you know, you can beat them to make them to do. That is what we call bullying. Having said that, having defined bullying, I also see it as a kind of inferiority complex. And maybe as a result of inferiority complex, somebody who has been bullied in the past will say, no, I don't want to be the weaker person. Maybe they will not be laughing at the person that you are very weak. So because of that, you want to go and, you know, exercise some powers, undue powers over younger ones to make sure that people now fear him. And this is what brings about cultism in schools. That unfortunately, in those days, we used to hear of cultism in the university, but now they start now from the secondary schools, even from the primary schools, they start having cultism. The other one again is bad peer pressure. Terrible peer pressure, you know, and unfortunately, I need to say that most times, if you look at it, it is actually attributed to families, to privileged families, where they see the underprivileged as a useless, and as if they don't belong to them. And so when you see a child who is thriving academically, you want to suppress that child. I'm just trying to talk about the causes. Okay. We can go on and on. All right, then most importantly, parents are now too busy. I think parents are getting too busy looking for money to survive in our country, that they no longer pay much attention to the children.
Beautiful. Now, Mr. Paul Okumbo, Peter Okumbo, rather, you are an educationist, and you cannot but to really tell us what is going on. Because just like what Madam said, that these children, they spend a better number of time with you guys in school. They leave 8 o'clock in the morning, and they return sometime 4, 5 in the evening, only spending about 2-3 hours with parents before they go to bed. Now, little wonder whether bullying is now a subject in the school. Now, we understand that the case we are looking at now, though there are different stories to it now, the school authority is saying that it is not cultism related, while the parents of Sylvester are saying that it's cultism related. Now, it took the efforts of Sylvester's cousin, who actually brought the story to the fore on the social media. If not, this case would have been swept under the carpet. Just like what I asked, bullying, isn't that a subject that you guys teach in school?
You would imagine that it made me laugh. And the truth of the matter is that there's no school that will teach a subject like that. However, there are things that happen in school environment just because there are people from all backgrounds and all walks of life in the school environment that the management of the school must be very symptomatic to. If you are not, a lot of things will go underneath. A lot of things will happen, and not until it blows out of proportion, you probably will not even know those kind of things are happening. As a school administrator and somebody who has centers in locations here in Benin, I've studied the demographic of parents as it affects their patronage of a school and what they demand or what they want from a school. It's environmental. I'm only taking this cue because of what Madam said about these children who have the tendency to be bullies mostly from privileged backgrounds. They feel a sense of entitlement and all of that. All these also stem from what I have noticed practically to be the case. At Ogida Center, the parents will tell you, flog my child if the child does wrong. At the Ubawo Center, flog my child if the child does wrong. Or you see our campus at Ugbo and Airport Road, where you have the rich parents. They tell you, no, you don't discipline my child. If my child does any wrong, report my child to me. Now, it's very easy for children to lobotomize their parents, take advantage of the love their parents have for them. It's very easy for parents to exhibit weakness before their children without even realizing what they are exhibiting. It's not parenting. It's actually a weakness. Now, when you remove discipline of that sort from a school system, I understand that their own argument is that in some cases it's been overdone. You know, a situation where the cane has been, you know, has led to blindness. There's been physical bruises on the child's body. Those are extreme situations. They should be curtailed. But to remove the cane from the school system is to raise nothing but intellectual idiots. People who would have no sense of property, who have no sense of responsibility, because naturally, a number of these kids believe they're entitled. In the case of Dowen, many of the kids from Dowen, if you investigate, naturally, by reason of the tuition they pay, are from privileged homes. And again, some of them already have Western exposure. They're already been to countries where perhaps they are free, where perhaps their parents can't even touch them, where perhaps if they attempt to even discipline them, they call the police on their parents. A number of these kids were tricked back to Nigeria to be brought to boarding school, to learn the African way. Unfortunately, a number of these parents are disappointed that the Nigerian school, which they thought would give their children that training that is lacking over there in the West, is not trying to behave like the West by allowing the children to be themselves. How did it come to a point where the housemasters there didn't have a presence in the dormitories, didn't have a presence at the different floors? From the online PTA they had, I learned that this issue has been there. It didn't just happen one time. And for me, Sylvester's parents also have a little portion of this blame. Your child complained last year that he's being bullied. You did not. I will remove my child from that school for that reason, because children don't lie at that level. I mean, to the scale of his intimidation, the extent to which they beat him up. And the father only said because the one of his daughter was still there, he felt that they should just give it a last try. Yeah. Even in this school, sir, bullying is very copious. There's a tendency today, and it's all triangular. Society, parents, school. Society have a way of celebrating idiots. Society has given place to thugs. So there's this tendency that the thugs are making it out there. Why should I be gentle? Gentility doesn't pay anymore. I once saw an interview on ITV, let me not mention him, where on Crime Fighter, a boy was arrested on the grounds of courtesan, and they asked him, how did he become a courtesan? He said his father paid for him to be a member of the court group. And why did they arrested the father? The father was questioned, and the father said he wanted his son to be like XYZ person in society, because that's what pays now. So these children are already damaged by reason of their upbringing. A number of parents too busy to even notice certain things going on. Okay. A number of parents don't even see these things as issues until the worst happen. I blame mostly on late Sylvester's case. I blame to the tune of 60% on the school management. The school management. Okay. Then I blame 30% on the parents.
All right. Now let me come to Dr. Stella Omonigo. You attended the boarding house school system. I didn't. I was in day school, but I remember something then, which somehow was somehow akin to bullying. I remember our seniors then, they could give you 10 naira and tell you, look, go and buy me something and bring change and all that. Now, somehow we had a way over all that. We went to school and we finished eventually. But there is an aspect of it that has crept into our school system now. That is the issue of courtesy. Now, it's difficult. It's very, very difficult now, because we saw the one that happened some time ago in Edo College here. As we speak now, it's on the papers this morning that Idogbe College has gone berserk. You know, that fires in the school and all that. Yeah. All these things, if you put them together, it's traced to courtesy. So where did we miss it wrong, Doctor?
Okay, you know, while highlighting the causes of these problems in the school system, we're having talked about the parenting. You know, my brother here talked about the management of the school, and it brings me back, of course, to the school, especially to private schools. What we've now seen in our Nigerian society, unfortunately, for education is that they are now profit-driven instead of being moral-driven. Instead of, in those days when we were in school, teachers were very poor, but what they were doing was to, you know, they did their best to bring out the best in us. Yes, like I said before, it was existing, it had been existing in the system, but not this bad. Because I remember that at that time, they will sign an undertaking at the point of entry in school. You have to sign there. They bring out the rules and regulations of the school, and then you sign an undertaking of being of good behavior. And if you go against any of these rules, there are sanctions, you know, stated there on black and white. If you bully a student, maybe you fight in the dormitory, suspension for 2 weeks. There are some things you do, they will say expulsion. There are some things you do, you have to cut grass. There are some things you do, you receive 24 strokes of the cane, you know, in those days. So the fear of these sanctions was the beginning of wisdom for all of us. But what we see now is that parents are looking for, schools, proprietors are looking for customers. They are looking for students. They are looking for population. And so they set aside these rules so as to attract as many people, as many customers as possible. And even when they notice that there is a problem, they try as much as possible to cover it so that it will not bring a scandal to their school that may, in quotes, reduce the population of that. So the whole thing comes to selfishness of proprietors and profit-driven purpose instead of the main purpose of an educationist is to be able to pass knowledge and, of course, pass good morals to the children. But that's not what we have in the Nigerian society. And that's what I said, that what is happening in schools now is a reflection of what is happening of the failure of the Nigerian system. That is what we are seeing in schools now.
Let me just jump in a little bit, ma'am. Yeah. As somebody who is a player in the education sector, I've had certain experiences. I've been in this sector. I'll tell you that all that you have just said is 100% true. It's exactly what's happening in the church today. Salvation is no longer preached. If you talk about these things, the Yahoo boys who are paying the offering will leave.
It's wealth.
So, yes, it's wealth. The school owner is mostly profit-driven. And the only instrument that should have brought him to check is the one instrument that has failed.
What is that?
Government and parents. I'll tell you why. Now, for parents, they are mostly interested in their children's paper qualification, not whether the child is actually good academically. I'm yet to see a child who's academically savvy, giving into social vices, bullying or courtesan. Where the whole thing is, where they miss the whole thing is when the child now is drifted off course from academics and the consumption of academics and the encouragement in the academics to other things. So when the child knows that in this school where I am, I'm going to get the papers whether I read or not, the child will give into other things instead of facing his academics squarely. That is where government failed. Government should, as a matter of urgency, fight the evil of examination malpractice in our school system. Else, we are just in our glory days. The doom days are await us. They await us because now, the time the child should face mathematics, physics, chemistry, government, and what have you with, the child is relaxed because the child knows that they're going to put it on the board for them to write. They're going to compromise the system. It is what has caused all of these things. That video you saw at Idogbo, that rampage you saw is as a result of one thing.
Okay, now
we are not pursuing academics.
All right,
that will happen one way or the other.
Let me pause you. Now, I'm going to sincerely plead with my PD, though I didn't discuss this with him. But let's try and see the picture of Sylvester Remoni. I have it on my system here, so the PD can oblige us at that. So that our viewers out there will get to see what we're talking about this morning. I have the picture of Sylvester Remoni here with me. Dowen College police arrest 2 students. Reps wants IGP to take over. Sylvester Oriyomi, I have the copy here with me. Now, as we await that now, let me come to Mr. Okumbowa one more time. All right, we have the picture there so that you get to see on the Punch newspaper this morning. We'll have Dowen College police arrest 2 students. Reps want IGP to take over case. That's the picture of Sylvester Oriyomi there, the late Sylvester, who would have been, he died at the age of 11.
4 days
or he would have been 12 years on the 4th of this December. That's about 4 days ago. So you can see a background of the school there. So that's Sylvester Oriyomi there. Now, let me come to Paul Okungbowa one more time. Now, Mr. Paul Okungbowa, thank God that you brought up the issue of student passing examination. Perhaps the private school managers are fingered in this. Now, we listen to most of the adverts that you guys put on television. The emphasis seems to be on excellence, that you teach students pass and all that. We don't hear of moral upbringing. You know, I mean, of what use will your qualification be to you if you don't have the moral aspect of it to back it up? Because I remember as a graduate, you are a graduate of Uniben, as a graduate of Uniben too, the certificate that they give to us is that having found wanting in learning, in character, worthy in learning, character and all that, we hereby certify you. What is going on?
The truth of the matter is that it's still all boiled down to what the parents want in the end. A number of parents just, let me give you a clear case. Before we resumed third term, last section after the corona, we had 48 students in our SS2 class to be promoted to SS3. That's on the condition that they pass the promotion exam. Now, these children have been told, and their parents have been told, that we will never procure examination malpractice. So we're doing our very best to train them right. By resumption, do you know how many students came back to that class? 12. Presently, in my SS3 class at Ugbawa Center, we were 27 before they came to SS3. When we resumed, do you know how many are in that class now? 5. Where did they go to? Lecture centers. The government have been trying to clamp down on lecture centers. But this is the truth of the matter. In the dark days of Edo, even to today, if not for the lecture centers, this student will not even enter the university, because there's a very massive infrastructural decay in our school system. Now, are you saying that the schools, they don't do enough? No. Does the enrollment of these children take place in lecture centers? No. They take them to schools eventually. Take the war to school. Sir, if you want to bring back the days when you see your child well-dressed on their uniform, looking smart, looking like a student, looking organized out there when you see them, and be proud that these are students, take my practice off the equation, everything will gradually go back to what it used to be. When you see children in the streets, even in private schools, their uniform flying about, their shirt wearing something else, it's all symptomatic of one thing. This child is no longer into learning. I have been here. I have seen that students who are actually into learning, it reflects even in their uniforms. They like to look neat. They like to look organized. Because one thing about the intellect, about the mind, is it controls every other thing about the person. If the mind of these children has not been polluted by examination malpractice, you will not have this nonsense happen in our school system. The way is the parents want their children to have paper qualification by fire, by force.
Okay. Now, Doctor, you want to say something?
Yes, I want to say something, you know. Talking about this aspect is a different topic entirely that we need to spend time to talk about. But having said it, the problem I'm also having when I was talking about the field system is that teachers, you know, childminders, the principal or the heads of school, they also have a part to play.
Sure.
First of all, yielding to pressure of parents. You know that when your child is supposed to repeat a class, if you find a child not being able to go to the next level because maybe the child did not do well, in our time a child you should repeat.
You fail, you repeat.
Yeah, but you know that it's parents that come now to put pressure on teachers, on proprietors, to say their child should be promoted. And when you refuse, just like he said, when you refuse, they remove the child from there. And so they're also pressurizing school proprietors, you know, to follow the standard, you know, to bend the standard.
Where the government failed in this is that before a child leaves a school and goes to another school, the child should take a testimonial of some sort from the school he's coming from.
No, I agree with you, but unfortunately it's no longer like that. In those days, before you change your school, you must take your last result, you know, to the school, to your new school and all those things. So there's a kind of failure also in the regulatory body. And that's why I say that there's a failure. But where I'm going to, you see, there are teachers, there are parents in Dowen College. There are teachers who are parents in Dowen College. There are people who are parents working in Dowen College who observed, you know, this bullying and did not do anything about it. Yeah. And I was wondering why. Do you know why? It's also as a result of a failed system where it took them maybe 12 years, 20 years after graduation from the university or from the higher institution of learning before they were able to secure that job in the school. And so they are afraid also to lose their job. But I want to actually encourage every one of us, whether we're parents, whether we're worker or not, you should not tolerate anything, you know, that will lead to the decadence of the society, because whether we like it or not, we have all been pointing blames at the government, but we have all contributed in one way or the other to the failure of this system. And that's why I said there were teachers there who are now speaking out. The question is, why did you not speak out before? Because they were scared. And you know, another thing is this: these people have this proprietor, these rich people have a tendency of choking people who want to say the truth. In fact, let me tell you, the Nigerian society does not encourage somebody who stands for the truth. I remember when Don Davis's mother shouted for help, I saw on social media a lot of people, even a lot of mothers, trying to blame her for shouting. So many people. So they, you know, the problem is this. I was telling my brother just before we came up, perhaps Sylvester wouldn't have died if the school had opened up immediately to the parents that this child was beaten up.
And this, even up to now, the school has not opened up. It's still all allegations.
And another thing, a child was kept under your care. Forget about whether he was beaten or not. It is your responsibility to keep that child safe in health. So I expected that the school should have taken, Dowen College should have taken Sylvester straight to the hospital first before contacting the parents.
Yeah.
In JS1, my daughter attended Presentation National High School. In JS1, she was seriously ill. And of course, they told her that our daughter was ill, but that they were managing. And then on a particular night, they called us that they were rushing her to the hospital, but that we should meet. They gave us the address of the hospital, that we should meet them up there. Before we got there, they had admitted the child, they had started treatment. All we needed was the allergies, even the allergies and everything, because we filled the form before the child got to school. The school was responsible. Not to talk of that magnitude of beating, of torture, of torment that was given to that child. So Dowen College actually has a lot of blame. And lastly, you know, I know that very soon we'll be wrapping up. I want to say there's a method that worked in our time, and there's a method that is still working in most of these mission schools. You cannot tell me that you have a boarding system, you have dormitories where people have been clamoring for CCTV cameras, but I'm talking about parents staying with them in different dormitories. And I still go back to use these Catholic schools as example. For each dormitory in Presentation National High School, you have hostel mothers who stay with them. They stay in the dormitory, they spend the night with them permanently. They have a space in between their beds. So when you are not talking about lesbianism, at what point are you going to start practicing lesbianism or homosexuality? You know, when you have a mother, or you are going to bully somebody when you have a body. And then the school management should not tolerate any form of bullying.
When you talk about schools management now, I think at this point, I may have to give it up for Calvary Crown Academy. My child is there, speaking from personal experience. He did a surgery recently, and he was almost having reactions. I was called upon. I had to go and pick that child, you know. A very big thank you to Calvary Crown Academy, because they needed to call me and let me know that, look, your child, you have to come back. I had to go. Now, the question we're also going to ask Paul Okungbawa is the teachers you employ, because we keep on talking about the students, the parents, and all that. What about the teachers? Good to know that you guys do some form of orientation program for students and also perhaps for parents. But what about the teachers? The teachers, what is their moral quality? Do they have it? Or you just employ who can teach, who can make the students to pass, who the students like?
On your program, I advertised Calvary Crown Academy and said that for management and teachers, we take the place of a second parent. I use the Greek term loco parenti because I know that if my child wasn't doing well academically, I won't give up on that child. So I expect the teacher to function that way. And it's when the child is not doing well morally, it will also affect the child's academics. As young as we are, we've seen things, we've heard things. I've had to expel. One of the things missing
I'm talking about your teachers now.
One of the things missing in private school system is expulsion and suspension has been removed from school system because of profiting. For teachers, sir, the first thing you are told is you'll be robbing us, robbing the children, if your job is just here to teach. Your job is beyond teaching. Because if the child does not look up to you for inspiration in the first instance, whatever is it you are doing there, they received Eastern doctrine, it's not working as such. The motivation you give is beyond the received Eastern doctrine. You are like a parent to them, showing them the path to life. Do you know it is the responsibility of a teacher to actually join the parent to mold the child's character.
Certainly.
And what parents may not see about a child, teachers see it very easily. So because of that, we have feedback mechanism from teachers. Because we don't allow teachers interface directly with parents. Parents interface with school, school interface with the teachers. So the teachers write to us on the character of every child that they have noticed. A character that is seeming like polluting, a character that should not be accommodated, and the ones that needs a work on. That was how a girl in my school at the Kenwan Road, JSS3, you can ask your son about that, was expelled from the school because she's already as small as she is, talking about sex and relationships, already paying people up with love letters and all of that. So if not for the teachers, we would never have heard such. So the teachers know that if we find out certain things on our own without knowing it from you, it would mean that you are not doing your job as a class counselor. So for that reason, we deduct your pay. We deduct your pay. And we also give you extra incentive for bringing up issues that will help the school in the long run. I cannot accommodate a child that I've tried to reform in a school system because of profit, knowing that he or she is a danger to other people's children. So expulsion and suspension has always been the hallmark of Calvary Crown. In 2 sections, we've expelled more than 10. At the Ugbo here, we've expelled 3. I recently expelled one for bullying. In 1 week, this young boy in SS3 has beaten up 2 boys in JSS2 and JSS1. Beat them to stupor. The one just happened just about the time that preceded this development. And I just called the father of the boy and told him, haven't given your son first warning, second warning, there will never be a third warning. I had to let the boy go.
All right, thank you so much because of time, madam. Yeah.
In our time, we used to have guidance counselor in our schools. How many schools have guidance counselor now?
It's not in private school system.
How many? Good. How many? And it is the duty of the guidance counselor. By the time a teacher, notices somebody in class, maybe the person is not following well, sends the child to the guidance counselor. That is actually,
and the teacher could also become a problem to the student.
There's a kind of lacuna somewhere.
Who does the student report the teacher to?
Yes.
That's
it is
where
also the guidance
counselor.
So unfortunately, there's a lacuna. They don't want to employ. Even in most of our government schools, we still don't have guidance and guidance.
So what is the essence of the course we studied in the university?
So those are the things that let me tell you. Sylvester's death is an eye opener, and I think that everybody should go back to the drawing board. First of all, parents should do their jobs at home because these bullies are people's children. So you need to warn your children as they go to school that for every action they take, every negative action, there is a repercussion for it.
Madam,
and they should not bring shame to your family. They should not bring shame to the family. And secondly, proprietors and heads of schools should not just be profit driven, but you should think about the life of, let me tell you, justice may come today, but the truth about it is that Sylvester is gone and is gone for life. And so we should be able, and there are so many children who have died out of bullying that their parents could not speak up, or nobody heard their voices because they are from poor background, nobody to speak for them, nobody to fight for them, and pleading with all teachers, all the school proprietors, that the blood of these children, we cry to God for vengeance.
All right, madam,
I
can understand your emotions. The mother, a parent, so she feels the pain. I know, Mr. Paul, you may want to say 1 or 2 things. I'll just give you 20 seconds quickly. As
far as bullying is and other vices in school system, it will continue. It will be there so long as they are human beings. But this could be brought to the barest minimum and eradicated when there are punitive measures. The law without element of sanction is no law. Beautiful. Now, for me, the House of Assembly should rise to the occasion and criminalize bullying. And the government should set up a special agency where the parents could report, and the government should take it up. Perhaps justice is said.
Perhaps
so that way, the school authority, private schools authority, will be forced to do something about bullying. And the government can deal with them at any time.
Perhaps this will be the eye opener. We understand that the federal lawmakers have actually given the IGP, that's the Inspector General of Police, a marching order to ensure that everything is brought to book. As we speak today, an autopsy is going to be carried out on the late Sylvester Oromoni, and so that the actual cause of his death will be ascertained. He's in debtor state now. The father had to make that request a few days ago that he doesn't want his son in Lagos. It has to be in debtor state so that hanky-panky games won't be played, so to say. So we just pray that the truth be unfold so that we can actually know what actually led to the death of Sylvester Oromoni, whether it was as a result of the alleged bullying, the injuries that he sustained, or that Sylvester Orimoni, as the school authority, is claiming that he was part of the football competition, football match that they played in school.
The also complained that a liquid substance was pushed into his throat.
Okay.
His mouth was burnt.
So you see various talks here and there. So the autopsy is going to be carried out.
Yeah.
And good thing that the Lagos State Police Command is doing in collaboration with the Delta State Police Command, that they want all parties involved to be present before the autopsy will be carried out. So let's hope that before the end of today, we'll be able to ascertain the actual death of Sylvester Orimoni, and we say may his soul rest in perfect peace in Jesus' name. Amen. The program is still here. A very big thank you to Dr. Omonigo for finding time to come, and also Mr. Paul of Test House Tutorials and Calvary Crown Academy here in Edo State. Very big thank you for finding time to come on this program today. The program is still on this morning on ITV. Please stay tuned.